Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we're doing the Starting Out Hack the Box Academy. So this is the second video of this series, of this box, I should say. So we've already done all the way up to transferring files. If you guys haven't seen that, I'll put the link in the description for the first video. It'll kind of get you up to speed to where we're at. So without further ado, if you guys do like this content, if you guys are enjoying it, hit that like button, hit that sub button. Also, check out the Discord because we actually have 1,000 members in there now, and we are very active in there. That's where I do live streams and things like that every week. And then check out the Patreon. That's where you get access to my notes and everything like that. So, and we will be referencing my notes in this to actually do some things. So, first things first, let's open up another tab so I can get my notes open. And then let's look at starting out. What are we looking for? So, this is going to tell us kind of how to initially begin Hack the Box. Most of you probably at this point are familiar with Hack the Box because that's why we're literally on it. But they're still showing you how to do it. So this is coming from the perspective of you've never used Hack the Box, you've never done a CTF or anything like that. So the main Hack the Box platform follows an exploratory learning approach, meaning they're going to put you in these situations and you explore what you like, right? Like they're not saying you have to do this, 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 and this. It's not like school where you're going to sit in a class and this is what you have to do. You do it however you want. You explore. You do it the way that makes you happy. So now resources. There are, and they are right about this. I will give them that. The sheer amount of content available on the web is overwhelming. So a lot of people always ask, what do I do? Where do I go? And this is why they ask that. It's not that they can't find resources. It's that there's so many. They don't know what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong. So that's a great thing that they put on here. And here's some of the places that you should look. First off, the OWASP Juice Shop has been around for a long time. I recommend it highly, mainly because they do update it. So it's not like you're getting the literal only, the 10-year-old juice shop. You're getting good boxes, okay? And that's on the OWASP Top 10. The OWASP Top 10, if you guys don't know, is a resource that's going to be around for a long time, has been around for a long time, and it puts the top 10 web application vulnerabilities out there basically every year. Metasploitable 2 is a purposeful vulnerable Linux VN that can be used to, so you can see they have links here, so you can go to it. And then Metasploitable 3, and then there's vulnerable PHP server. Okay, so these are just other resources if you don't want to use Hack the Box, I'm assuming is what they're trying to show you. Now, YouTube channels. All right, so I'm a little bit bummed they didn't put me on here. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not remotely big enough to be on here, so I understand. But these are good YouTube channels. I'm surprised they actually left a few off that I would have thought would be on here, but neither here nor there. So now, blogs. I do recommend blogs. I do recommend them quite a bit. Most of the time when you're doing a Hack the Box or a CTF of any sort, you're going to see when you try and, let's say you finished it and you're trying to look through a walkthrough now, you're going to see a lot of these blogs that have the walkthroughs. I do recommend checking them out because usually when I finish a box, I go look at how other people did it and see if they're the same or if they're different. And a lot of times they usually did some things different. So it kind of helps me go, oh, okay, this may be faster, this may be slower, whatever, and kind of go that way. Tutorial websites. Under the Wire, Over the Wire, these are great. They're war games format, but they are more tutorial style, so that's really good. And you can see these are very similar to what you're looking at with Hack the Box, Try Hack Me, those type of things. Hack the Box starting point. So this is starting out, but there is a box called starting point, I'm assuming. And it's basic machines challenges. I think that's one that we've done. Hack the Box tracks. So I think this is what they're calling a track. Yeah, mastering a particular subject. So these are tracks. Basically, we're going through. This one is the actual track for their CPTS cert, but I don't know the actual name of the track. I'd have to look. I think I don't know. Either way, we'll figure it out. So now the Hack the Box platform contains one-off challenges. So these are what you'd see if you just searched for basically like hey, I want to look at Linux, and I just search Linux on Hack the Box, and I find this one box that's not attached to a path, it's not attached to anything. That's what they're saying is a one-off. It's by itself, it's its own challenge. It has nothing to do with anything else. All right, so let's move on. The Dante Pro Lab, I didn't cover, but they're just resources. You can go through them if you want. So navigating Hack the Box, pretty self-explanatory. Here's your dashboard, right? It's going to tell you apparently what your team ranking is, your points, blah, blah, blah. So the reason I'm fast forwarding through this is I do not like Hack the Box the way they do this, because it is, and I hate to say this, but it's pay to win. It's pay to win. And I'm sorry if for anyone that may have a great ranking in Hack the Box and thinks it's not. The reality is you have to, at least Hack the Box Academy, the way they do their pay system, you have to pay to play the boxes, unless you do the retired ones, I understand. So someone that just pays a lot of money and answers all the questions is ahead of you, right? Even myself, I make plenty of money, but I have no interest in paying just to do the box, right? Paying individually, I should say. I pay a monthly subscription. In my opinion, that should get you all of it. It doesn't. That's neither here nor there. I'm not their business model. I don't have any say in that. I'm just saying I don't care about the rankings and stuff like that because of that aspect, because I don't, there's boxes where it might cost 50 cubes or something that sound interesting, and I go, I'm not doing that because it's not worth 50 cubes to me, because you only get a finite amount of cubes per month. So I'm not going to waste my time. Whereas on Try Hack Me, I would go, oh, I want to try that out, and I just do it, right? So that's kind of the difference. Here's the tracks. You have beginner track, intro, so on and so forth. So they're showing you the path, like once you click on a track, this is what it's going to look like. Here's the boxes that you can do to do that path, and then you get a progress bar. It's all pretty self-explanatory. Now machines, this is again the one-offs they're talking about. This is where you can actually go and just look for a specific machine. And then the first thing you'll see is 2 recommended machines that you can play. One of the latest releases, weekly machine, and then staff pick. So this is again weekly. It changes to what people like that week, what the staff decide is fun. And then the one thing I like is you'll see these user owns and system owns. So the reason I like that is because if you see this really high number, even if it's a medium box, that means you could probably do it. What I mean by that is even if you're struggling a little bit with getting to the medium boxes, that'd be a good entry to the medium boxes, because if 7,000 other people did it, you could probably figure it out. It's probably not as hard as you think. But if you go to some of the extreme boxes, there might be 50 people that have done it. If only 50 people in the world have completed that box, you're in for quite a task. So active machines, these are the ones that give you points for your ranking. So, but you will have to solve them on your own because you do not get a walkthrough, okay? There are always 20 active machines distributed between difficulties. A new machine is added weekly, and one of the active ones gets retired, okay? So what's that mean? Retired machines, you can use them as much as you want. The retired machines can get walkthroughs, and I don't know if they actually assign a walkthrough on every one of them, but you can find walkthroughs, and you're allowed to publish walkthroughs. So that's why I get questions a lot. Why don't you do the Hack the Box machines? That's one of the reasons I don't, because the active machines, in order for me to help you, right, I would do a walkthrough on an active machine. Well, now it defeats the whole purpose because the active machines are not supposed to have walkthroughs out there. And I don't feel like getting challenged on my YouTube channel or anything like that. So now you can click join machine. Then there's the challenges. So challenges would be, reversing steganography, miscellaneous web. So these are specific challenges. Let me plug in my mouse real quick. But these are specific challenges depending on what you're trying to do, right? What you're trying to learn. Now, fortresses are vulnerable labs created by external companies and hosted. So meaning Hack the Box did not create them. Nothing wrong with that. There's some good companies out there that create these things. It's just they're hosting them for them, and they're letting you know, we didn't create this, so if you don't like it, it's not on us. That's what they're saying. Endgames are virtual labs that contain several machines connected to a single network. So this is more of a real scenario. The scenario strive to reflect a real-world situation. Exactly. So for those of you that have done CTFs, years and years of CTFs, whatever, they're not realistic because of the fact that they're single machines, meaning, okay, I took over this machine, great. Now I go to another machine. I took over this machine, great. That's not real world. What really happens is you take over a machine, and now I'm in the network. What do I do, right? And this is what they're saying they're going to try and simulate. Now, Pro Labs are the ultimate lab experiences. They design and simulate real-world enterprise infrastructure, which is an excellent chance to get testing out your blah, blah, blah. So if that's true, that's awesome. They can take a while to finish and learn all the attacks and security challenges. Each Pro Lab has a specific scenario. Okay, cool. And here you go. So this is really cool. If they do it, I will probably try the Dante on the channel if the Hack the Box videos keep doing well. But I have never done these challenges because when I did Hack the Box years and years ago, this didn't exist. So I will have to look into it. Again, I don't like the pay to win or pay to play method. So we'll see if it's like that on their actual on the actual Dantes. But Hack the Box Battlegrounds. This is very simple. It's a game. Play a team of 4 2. So in our Discord, we're talking about doing things like this where we get groups and we play and have fun and not take it seriously. So if you're interested in that, hop in the Discord, ask about it, and we'll try and get everybody in there. You can see free users get 2 matches per month, so you can play a couple of times per month just being free, which is nice. Okay, so getting started. So what they're doing here initially, or basically what they're doing here, is they're walking us through an easy box. Now, the reason they're walking us through it is pretty simple. I'm going to go down and start it so that way we're not sitting here waiting. But they're going to walk us through it, and the reason they're going to walk us through it is because they think that that's kind of like their goal, right? Is to start you with an easy box, work your way in, and this is one of the easier boxes out there. So this is called Nibbles. You see you get 20 points. It's an easy box. Nothing to it. So let's go ahead and start it. Now, one thing I like about this is they're going to show you kind of what to do, what you're looking at here. Let me spawn the target. So you can see here there's engagements. We've already covered this in the first video, but there's black box, gray box, and white box. So black box, low level to no knowledge of a target. Usually if you have no knowledge as a black box, they could say low level, meaning like you talked to the company, you kind of just inferred some stuff. But a black box means I'm going in blind. I'm doing a complete test as if I'm a hacker. I don't know anything about this company. Gray box, they might give you certain information. They might give you, hey, we're going to give you the IP space, right? Here's our IP range. Here's what we run only Windows machines, so don't worry about trying to find Linux stuff. Like, they're trying to save you time and in return save themselves money in a gray box penetration test. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. A lot of people think like black box is the best because that simulates a real world, blah, blah. There's nothing wrong with it. There's a lot of people think that the black box is the best, but in reality, there's a lot of that information, that gray box test that they give you, that you're going to find anyway, right? It's just public information. You'll find it, you'll get it. It's just you're saving hours of work by giving it to them, which saves you money because you have to pay per hour, right? Then white box is pretty much hey, here's our network, come sit down, start testing, right? So they give you full access. Now, you can see here they're going to use Nmap. That's the first thing we should do, right? So we're going to do an Nmap scan, and this is the one they're using, Nmap service version, and then they're looking for open. I actually don't use this open tab syntax, and the reason I don't use it is, yeah, you could. I mean, maybe if you had a ton of ports that you're worried about, but what it's going to do is show you just the open ports. You can use that if you want. I don't. And then this is just saving it as all. So you'll see what I mean. It saves it as 3 different types of files. So you can see they run an Nmap scan here, service version for open ports, and then they save the Nibbles initial scan, and they save it in all formats. So OA for all. And then you can see when they LS, they have a GNmap, an Nmap, and then an XML file. So it saves it as 3 different types. All right, and then you can see now they've kind of did their research. They've got Netcat, and then they're actually looking and they're searching specifically on port 22. So what they're doing is they're grabbing a banner here. So you can see here, they're actually grabbing it and seeing that it says SSH 2.0, OpenSSH. So they're getting the version number of what's going on. That actually would help out if maybe that version's vulnerable. Now, Netcat tells us that port 80 runs an HTTP server, but does not show the banner. We probably could have inferred that, but we can go to the website or start doing enumeration on that. And then you can see checking out our other terminal, we can see the full port scan. So this is the full port, meaning Nmap, script, and then the port is 22 and 80. So okay, so they talk about the full port scan, but here they're only running it on 22 and 80. If you do a full port scan, just heads up, they will take a while. So if you do just tack like this, it's going to take you a while. So don't run it and then be like, it's taking too long, I don't know what's going on. It's going to take a long time. It's scanning 65,000 ports, so keep that in mind. The script scan is going to run default scripts. It's just going to run to see if the default scripts work, and then you can actually view those scripts in the files if you want. But you can see here they're specifically saying we want service version, and then we want the HTTP enumeration script. Okay, that's what they're doing here, and they're going to say they're going to actually save this as HTTP enumeration. So run an nmap script scan on the target. Okay, so we'll go ahead and run it. And the reason I'm kind of flying through this is because at the end there's a knowledge check where we actually run this box. So I believe it's this box, might be a different one. Okay, so nmap, and we're going to do script scan is what they said. We're not even going to do the port 10.129.200.170. And they're asking us, what are they asking us? What is the Apache version? So the Apache version is... Okay, we may have to run the HTTP enumeration because it's on 80. And you can see right here, I'll show you what I mean when I say HTTP enumeration, if I can find the exact command they ran. I must have passed it. Oh, it's right here. It was so you can see they did tac script HTTP enum. That's what we're going to do. We're not going to save it, though. That's what they did. So we're going to say SV for service version because that's the one thing I left off. But since they're asking about Ubuntu, right, or they're asking about the Apache server I made, we're going to just say HTTP enum. Now, we don't have to worry about the port, but normally I would say, what I do here? Oh, I kept the SC, and you got to do script if you're specifying. Okay, so we'll run that, and basically what you'll see is it should give us the service version number, which will be Apache 2.4.18. Now, question is, do we need... Okay, so just 2.4.18. That should be the flag. Incorrect. Uh-oh. There we go. So I had an extra space at the end, so watch out for that. Now, web footprinting. So we know it's a website, right? It told us. So now we can use what web to try and identify the web application in use. So we're going to say what web, and it's going to kind of infer some information. It gives us that's an Apache server, okay, cool. So it doesn't identify any standard technologies, meaning there's nothing else it's seeing. It's not seeing any PHP or anything like that right off the bat. But if we go there, we see hello world. And then we look at the source code, and we see nibble blog. So that's a directory. So obviously, especially in a CTF, if we see nibble blog directory, nothing interesting here, we know that we're going to go check that out. So we go ahead. They did a curl here just to show that you, instead of going to the website, you can just curl it, and then boom. Now, I do think you should curl it, but at the same time, it's not always going to be better because when you curl, if the website's extensive, you're going to get a ton of source code, and it's going to be kind of daunting at first. So I usually go and look at the website and then just view the page source on the browser because it's a little bit easier to digest. But if you're doing something quick like this, the curl works great. HTML comments mentions a directory named nibbleblog, which we just talked about. Let's check with what web. So now they just did the what web with nibbleblog, and you can see you get some more information. You get Apache. Let's see. You can see jQuery, script, yum. So they've got there are some technologies in here that we could use against them probably. For some reason I thought you could see PHP in here, but I could be wrong here. I could just be missing it too. Okay, but you can see they are... Oh, it's right there, PHP. Okay, so that tells us right there that there's probably some vulnerabilities in here that we can use using some of these And you can see it's built using PHP. So if we did any research on Nibbleblog, we'd know it's built using PHP, which usually means if we can get a file uploaded and it accepts PHP files, we can get a PHP reverse shell. So browsing to the Nibbleblog directory in Firefox, we don't see anything exciting. So here it is. Now, quick Google search for Nibbleblog exploit yields the file upload vulnerability. So this is exactly what it sounds like. If you can upload a file to their system, you can run it, and then boom. So this flaw allows an authenticated attacker to upload and execute PHP code, which is what we just said. Now, the Metasploit module in question works for this version. We don't know the version yet, but it's a good bet that it's vulnerable to it. Pretty good guess. So there's a couple things you could do here. If you think it's vulnerable, you could try right now, right? But it does say we see the exploit uses user supplied credentials. So we need the user credentials, okay? So, and it says here to authenticate to the admin portal. Now, here it's telling us to do GoBuster or dirbuster, whatever you want to do. And it's telling us to actually run directory. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say we need to run the directory because we know that it's telling us, based on the vulnerability, that there's an admin PHP file, which is what we need. But what you can see here, you can check the README page that they have there. And you can see they have the version of Nibbleblog, which happens to be the exact version that's vulnerable. So now we just validated that it's vulnerable. You didn't have to do that, but it helps. You validated it, right? So now we could just use Metasploit, like I said, but we need the actual credentials. So we know that it's probably admin. So you try admin password, doesn't work. Admin, these are things that you tried, didn't work. Okay, cool. You would search. If you did some research on this, you would look for default admin password, and you would see that it actually doesn't have a default admin password. When you set it up the first time, it forces you to change the password to something. So, let's see. So you can see that they get too many login attempts quickly to triggers a lockout, blacklist protection. So this tells us that there is some protections on it, so we don't want to keep trying. So now if we go to the content page, it shows some interesting subdirectories, public, private, temp. Digging around for a while, we find a users.xml file. So that's going to be something we look for, right? Users.xml file, which at least seems to confirm the username is indeed admin. So now we know it's an admin username. Now we just need the password. You can see it also blacklisted their IP address. They found that in the XML file. That would be fine. Just switch IPs, or here, if you could actually edit the file, you could get rid of that. But at this point, we have a valid username, but no password. So let's see. We could brute force it, but we know that it's going to lock out after 3 attempts. So we would only get 3 attempts, and then it wouldn't work. So we don't really want to do that. There are no open ports. We did find any other which we confirmed by performing additional directory brute forcing against the root web application. So again, they did more brute forcing more directory traversal. They're looking for other directories here. Taking another look through all the exposed directories, we find a config.xml file. So they found another config file, and that's great. And one thing they're going to show you here is they don't see any passwords. But if you guys have ever made your own password lists or done anything like that, Cool is a tool that a lot of hackers use, including myself, all the time. It will actually scan a website and look for unique words. I have a couple of videos on it. It will scan a website and look for unique words that are words that aren't normal, or unique as in they're only used, on that site, and they're long. You can specify how long you want, whatever, and it'll make a password list out of those. Okay. Well, one thing they notice is that they keep mentioning this nibbles word. So they're going to try that as the password. They're going to guess that it's a pretty good password. Well, guess what? It is the password. Now, a lot of you might say, well, how would you just guess that, right? So psychologically, there is a test that was done. I don't know the study or whatever, but it is, I can't remember the percentage, but it's much higher percentage. You are likely to use a word in a password if it's on your site. Now, the reason for that is because you're seeing that word over and over and over as you're working every day. So if you see that word over and over, you're very likely to use it in a password. So it actually is very common that this happens. So it's just a psychological thing. It's something that people do subconsciously. They don't even think about it. So keep that in mind, that it's not necessarily always something super complex. So they guessed the password. Now they're logged into the admin portal, and here we go. So they're showing you that they have the publish, the comments, manage, settings, themes, plugins. These are the different tabs over here on the left. So the publish, that could be kind of interesting because you are trying to upload something and then that would publish it. But the one you're really looking at here is the plugins, because it allows us to upload an image file. Well, we know that it's going to read PHP because it's built on PHP. So if we could upload a PHP file and then run it, we'd be in pretty good shape. So you can see they use this little one-liner. This is just to test it. It's just going to give us system ID if it works. So they run that. They put that in the where the image is supposed to go in the file. They save it, and then they upload it. And you see they get all these errors because it doesn't understand. It's like, I'm looking for an image. This isn't an image. But when they go to the actual where it's stored at, which is nibbles, content, private, plugins, my image, they see that they actually get their user ID. So you can see the system ID worked. So that means it did upload and it did work. You just get these errors because it doesn't know what the file is. That tells us right there, boom, we can go ahead and skyrocket to get a reverse shell. So you can see here, I would usually, since we're using bash here, we'll use our notes, and you can see we're going to use a bash. This is the one they used. I have it sitting in my notes, but that's the one they used right there. So we're going to use that bash shell. So I'd grab it off my notes, and then we would actually go through and you'd add it. So this would be the file you add, the PHP file, and that will give you a reverse bash shell. Now you have to set up a netcat listener on your machine, upload this to the whatever image you want, then run the file again, and then they explain how to upgrade a shell. So you can see we have that set up here too in our notes, upgrade simple shells, and this is the one they actually used, Python. So this is a very common one. I have a bunch of different other ones in here in my notes, but what this is going to do is give you full functionality of the shell, so that way you're not struggling with it, because it is a pain in the butt. So now it says gain a foothold on the target. So we needed to do exactly what just happened. So let's go ahead and clear it. Let's just follow their steps. So first, let's go to the admin dashboard. 10.129.200.170, and we'll just follow the steps. Hello world, and then admin.php. Let me make this bigger here. All right, I probably missed the name of it. Let's see. Of course, I'm gonna have to go back because I don't remember where the actual admin dashboard is. Let's see, nibble blog. Okay, so it's nibble blog admin.php, I believe. All right, let's try that. Oh, I was like, what the heck's this picture? But that's literally where we're at. Okay, so, and the only reason I'm not walking through the entire thing is because, like I said, at the end, there is a thing that we have to do. Okay, so here we go. It's admin nibble blog is the password. Don't save. Maybe it's nibble. I can't remember what the password is now. Was it Nibbler? All right. My memory's shit right now. So it is Nibbles, okay, because they saw a lot of mentions of Nibbles. So admin Nibbles, don't save. Now we're in. Okay. Okay, so now we go to plugins, and you can see, I hate how small this box is. I know we could make it bigger, but image. So here we're gonna put a new image here, but we got to save the file. So we're gonna go ahead and open this. We're gonna take the actual right here, Copy that, paste it, file, save as, and we'll just save it under desktop, doesn't really matter. PHP reverse .php. Okay, now we'll close that. We'll browse this bad boy. We'll open that. Now, keep in mind, on our terminal, we have to set up a netcat listener. I actually didn't look what port we said that was on. And we have to change the IP. I just realized that. So we'll change the IP. So let's go ahead and open that back up. I didn't even think about it. I was trying to speed through it, so let's make sure this IP is correct. We'll just use the same 9443, but we need to make sure that IP is ours, or else we're not going to get a reverse shell. So 10.10.14.126. So all we're doing here is we're telling it to reach back out and connect to us. Here, we'll go ahead and change this just because we want to make sure it gets the new one. And then here, we want to set up the 94443, and we'll have that listening. So now it's listening. Okay, and then we'll save this. Hopefully this works. Okay, it's my image. So now we should be able to go directly to it, which is right here. Nibblblog content, private plugins. So we'll say Nibblblog content, private, what is it? Private plugins, and then we'll change the reverse shell. Private plugins, my image, but instead of image, it was, what did we name it? I don't even remember what we named it, but PHP reverse.php, I believe. We hit enter, and okay, it wasn't found. Let's see, maybe I misspelled it. Nibblblog content. Let's make sure Nibblblog content, private plugins, my image, and then I'm sure the PHP reverse shell is not the correct one. It's PHP reverse.php. Oh, it is right. PHP reverse.php, right? All right, PHP reverse.php. Let's go ahead and go back. Let's upload it again, but name it. Oh, it's still named my image. That's why. That's my bad. Okay. So it's still named my image, and the reason for that is because that's what we named it when we did it. So my image. Hit enter. Let's see, is it my image? So it's image.php. It should be still named this anyway. Let's see. Nope. All right, let's just re-upload it, because I think what happened was it actually saved the one that didn't have the new changes in it. The PHP reverse shell. Okay, and we'll title it my image. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, we'll just leave it my image. It'll probably cause some issues. Okay, so now we've got it. No blog. We'll just do this. Where was it? I just saw it. Here we go. Image.php. So content. All right. Paste and go. File not found. Of course not. Oh, it went to the actual whole thing. That's not what we want. So you guys can see this happens all the time. You just get into where you're going too fast. We hit image.php. Now we have our shell. So I just went too fast, didn't get the name of it. So now we have image.php right there. We need to go cd and find, what are we looking for? User.text, is that right? Yeah, user.text. So we'll say users.xml. We'll go all the way back and see. Okay, can't open the directory, so cd, we'll go home because I don't know where we are. Okay, cd user. I'm not sure what user we actually are, if I'm being honest. I mean, I could say who am I, but I'm assuming we're www. Nope, we're Nibbler. Okay, cd. See if he has his own share or drive. Nope. cd user share. Let's see what we get in here. And we could find it if we wanted to. I didn't really want to find it, but we will if we have to. Let's see if Nibbler has his own home directory. Oh, he does. Okay, there it is. User.text. There's our flag. So it's just in his home directory. If you guys are ever doing CTFs, that's always a good place to just check, just heads up. They almost always put the initial flag in whatever user you're taking advantage of's home directory, and then they go, the next one will be in the root directory. Okay, guys, welcome back. I had to reset the box. Basically, I put the wrong IP in for one of the shells, so basically I had to reset it because it got caught up and it hung up the box, so no big deal. We'll go ahead and start from where we were. So we went ahead and we got the flag, and we're in the Nibbler home directory. And if you see here, I'm just going to walk you through the steps that's pointing out above. So now we're trying to figure out privilege escalation. We're trying to figure out how do we escalate from where we're at to the next step. So you can see we're in, if we ls the directory, we're in his personal directory in Nibbler. And it says personal.zip, so we're going to unzip that personal.zip. Okay. Now, if we hit ls, we have a personal file, personal stuff, monitor.sh. Okay, so if we cat monitor.sh, we get a script that's going to run. Okay, cool. Now, one thing to keep in mind here, guys, we're trying to escalate privileges. So this monitor.sh gives us a good idea that we can probably edit this file because it was in his directory, which means if we can run it as root, we can edit it to give us a root shell, and that's what we're going to do. So one thing, they have you run this lin enumeration.shell or linps file basically to look for escalation opportunities. I would not do this right off the bat. I would look manually because it's less loud. It's not as, you're not going to get caught as well. And if you just type sudo tac-l, which is very common to check, it says right there, you can run this monitor.sh as root with no password. So that tells us right there, boom, we can run this. Let's add a reverse shell to it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up our listener, and we're going to run on port 8443. Now, all we have to do here is we have to append that monitor.sh. So there's the monitor.sh, and then they actually give us the script. And if you look here, we have the script. So you put your IP address, make sure it's correct because this is the IP address I messed up. And you can see all this script's going to do is it's going to append the monitor.sh. So at the bottom of the monitor.sh file, when this is done, it will have our actual. So now if we cat monitor.sh, at the bottom, you see it's got right here what we want. It's going to actually do our script. So that should give us our reverse shell when we run it. So now we're just going to pull up the parent terminal, sudo, and we can run monitor.sh. And we'll see if it runs. And boom, over here we just got a shell. So we type who am I, and now we're root. So now if we cd into the root directory, we have root.txt. And there you go. So pretty simple, pretty easy. I'll tell you, one of the first steps you should always check on any box, if you're trying to escalate privileges on Linux, is to automatically type sudo tac L, because if they have an incorrect permission like that where they can run one script as sudo, especially with no password, you can actually, if you can edit that file, do it. Now, one thing also to keep in mind is always add your reverse shell to the end of the script. Never delete the script and put it in there or anything like that, unless you're doing a CTF or something, because of the fact that if someone's using that script, for instance, let's say it's running something or it's a scheduled task or whatever, and they go to use it and it doesn't do what they want, they're going to investigate, because they're going to say, hey, this isn't working, right? So that's why you want to make sure you're doing that. So now here's the alternate user method. If you remember at the beginning of this, they talked about actually having a Metasploit exploit here, and we're going to do that one too. But basically you can see it's going to do the same thing. You give it the information, it'll automatically set you up, and then you can escalate that way. So it's a Metasploit module. You can walk through it. We're going to walk through it anyway, but they're showing you that we did it manually, and then you can do a Metasploit as well. So these are common pitfalls. These are issues that just Hack the Box has, not necessarily, well, not just Hack the Box, but all CTFs. Not necessarily issues that you might have in, you might have them in the real world, but this is specific to Hack the Box. So one of the things is, if you're using your own box, you want to make sure that your VPN is actually connected. That actually happens a lot. People are like, oh, I can't connect to the box anymore. Check your VPN, make sure it didn't disconnect, because sometimes that does happen. And here's different ways you can check that. Working on 2 devices. So this is a big one. Hack the Box cannot connect to more than one device simultaneously. So if you're working on multiple devices and you have both VPNs connected, it's going to disconnect one of them. So you need to make sure. Now, Burp Suite proxy issues. This is a big tool that everyone uses. So not disabling the proxy, meaning if you have the proxy set up and you're not paying attention, so the proxy is actually running the Burp Suite, but you are trying not to use Burp Suite for something, or vice versa. If you have the proxy on or off at the wrong time, it's going to mess with what you're trying to do. So make sure your proxies aren't on when they need to be. Now, changing the SSH key and password. If you're starting to run into issues with SSH, generate a new key. It'll just be the easiest. It'll stop those issues. So let's go ahead and keep going. So now, getting help. Here's where you can get help. You can get help from their forums. You can get help from their Discord. You can ask questions. They're teaching you how to ask questions effectively, answer questions effectively. So this is something they kind of touch on, but I really want to harp on is, if you get help from one of these sources, including my Discord, if you come in my Discord and you get help, right? Help people when you see it, right? That's the whole point. You're building a community. So even in their Discord and their forums, all that stuff, if you get help from them, contribute, because someone helped you, you help somebody else. It's just the way it needs to work, or else this dies in a sense. So now, boxes and challenges, next steps. This is what they recommend. Root a retired easy box. We just did that with Nibbler, but do a different one, or Nibbles, whatever they call it. Complete a retired medium box. So after you do a few of the easy ones, do a retired medium one. Then root our first live box, which means the one that isn't retired. Now, then keep learning. Keep doing these, right? Now, giving back. Here's where I say they touched on it. Make sure you actually do help people, because if you don't help people, again, imagine where you are now. If you're stuck on something and nobody helps you, now think about someone coming along saying, hey, here's what you need to do, whatever, and you get past it. How many times does that happen in your career? Make sure you reach back and help people. That's the whole reason I created this channel. It's the whole reason my Discord exists. So keep doing that. Now, knowledge check. This is where we're going to do an actual knowledge check. We're going to spawn this target so we can go ahead and exit these shells, I believe. So we'll go ahead and clear these out. And we'll probably be going back and referencing. What I mean by that is we'll probably reference the... I'm just going to Google to get off that page so it doesn't... but we'll probably go back and reference so that you guys have a direct thing. But first thing we're going to do is just an nmap sv sc 10 dot whatever it is. And my guess is going to be pretty close to what we just did. 129.42.249. And I actually did not do this box before, because I know a lot of you guys say that like I answered the questions before, and so I don't understand how it somehow affects things, but somehow it does to some of you guys. So I try to make sure that we're not doing that. So first things first, there is an Apache server. So let's go ahead and go to it. 10.129. And I don't know actually if this is the same box or a different box or similar or what. Okay, so it's not. So thank you for using Simple CMS. This is your home page, So first thing, I'm just going to see if it exists. Admin page. It does. So now getting started. Okay, and let's see. Did it tell us what? Get Simple. So let's see if we can search Get Simple. Get Simple CMS. Let's see if we can get default credentials. Admin, the administrator's username and password hash can't be obtained by navigating to follow. The default username is admin. The default password is admin. So let's see if admin works. Don't save. Okay, it's just taking forever. Okay, so the default page worked. So you can see plugins. If it loads, you can see it's very similar to what we just did. It's a little bit different, but very similar. Now, I'm assuming, I don't know why this one's so slow, but I'm assuming there's probably a Metasploit module for this. So let's try and say search exploit. And did we see what Get Simple version 1.0? Okay. Okay, so we'll say Get Simple. Let's see, where did we do our... Did it give us an actual version number? We'll just say Get Simple. See if there's anything. Okay, there's a bunch of them. All right. So let's do... I don't know what version we're on, so that's the only reason. Let's just try this one. Get Simple CMS unauthenticated. So PHP remote. Okay, so MSF console. It's a good guess that it's vulnerable. If it's not, the only reason I'm doing this is because I want to show you guys the Metasploit version. Okay, so here's the two exploits they have. PHP file upload vulnerability. I'm going to assume that's the one that works, mainly because that's what we just did. So we'll say use 0. Okay, now you'll see show options. You can see they need the target host. Okay, so this is the listening host. So set, I actually don't know where they got that number, but or that so 10 10 14 126 10 10 14 126. Okay, so the L host, set L host 10 10 14 126. Okay, and then set the port's fine, it doesn't really matter. What else do we need? We need the R host, obviously, so set R host, and that is 10.129.42.249. Okay, now go back up to the options. We want to set the URI. So the username and password we need to set. So set username, and that'd be admin. Set password admin. All right, we know that's the username and password. Now we want to make sure we set the admin as the URI, right? So target URI. So set target URI, and we'll set that to admin. Okay, so now we should be able to run it, but let's see. We might have missed something. Okay, authentication failed. So, oh, it's on port 80s. Okay, so let's see. What did we miss? We missed something. 1010 or 10.129. Oh, did I mess up the? Oh no, I did. Okay, 129.42.249. So let's see. Show options. I'm sure I messed something up. So admin is the username. Admin was the password. Target URI was admin. Let me make sure that that was just the. Okay, so that was the page. What else we got? Port, yes. Our host 10.129, yes. Proxies, no. Okay, so we missed something, and I'm not sure what it is. Maybe we need to do the plugins. Maybe we go to plugins, admin plugins.php. Let's see. Or maybe we need to find files. Let's find out. Files. Okay, there we go. So uploads. So here we go. Upload files or images. Why is it not letting me click? This is like the slowest website I've ever seen in my life. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know why it won't let me click it. Okay, I guess we have to create a folder. Uploads, test. There we go. Now how do we actually put a file in here? That's the next question. It's like the website's not working. Let's see. So this is uploaded files, so maybe we need to, that's a theme, that's a backup plugin, send anonymous data, nope. All right, so upload files and or images. Well, I would if you'd let me. All right, so here's our file. Test. So you can create folders, but we can't create the file. Okay, let's try and put the admin upload PHP in here instead as the set URI. What was it? Target URI. Target URI to admin upload.php run. I don't think that's gonna work, but yeah, it didn't. Okay, cool. So it did authenticate though. You see that? So that's good. So now we'll just go to get simple CMS, Metasploit, vulnerability. So we can try the remote code execution. I was trying not to do that one, but let's try it. Just see if it works actually. So we'll exit that. We'll MSF console. And you guys know I don't get rid of my mistakes, so we'll go ahead and try and see if this works. All right, so we'll search, get simple. Okay, and then we're going to use one instead. And we'll say show options. Okay, so proxies, our host. So this one actually doesn't need anything, so except for the our host, obviously. So 10.129.42.249. And we could have probably figured out how to actually upload a file there. I just didn't want to research how to upload a file. Set L host, which is 10.10. What is it? 10.10.14.126. But I like the fact that there's might be multiple ways to do this. So now if we show options, it should change. But now if we run it, let's see what happens. Okay, and you can see right away, if we give it a sec, well, it says Meterpreter session 1 open. Let's see if it actually did. And then what is even the goal here? Spawn the target, gain a foothold, and submit the contents of the user flag. Okay, so cat user. Well, so we got it. We got that pretty easily. ls cd home ls Mr. Bean cd Mr. b3 in cat user.text. There you go, pretty easy. Copy, paste. So you can see they're following pretty much the same pattern we just did. Now we'll say sudo tech l, and of course it's not going to work, so we'll say shell sudo tech l, no password for user bin php, exit. Okay, guys, we're back. Sorry, I had a meeting. I had to hop off. This is why I say when I make these really long videos that it's harder for me, but I want to make sure you guys get what you want. So here we are. We went ahead and we went through the knowledge check. We knew it was going to be similar to the previous one, so we used the interpreter, or we used Metasploit instead of the file upload because I wanted to do it differently than the previous way we did it. So now we have the interpreter session here, and the first thing we did is we hopped into a shell, and then we said sudo tech l to see what we can run, and you can see we can run no password. We can run anything PHP with no password. So we exit that, and now we say, okay, so we can run PHP. So what's the first thing when you see that? Usually look at GTFO bins. If you're not familiar with GTFO bins, it is a site that basically tells you all kinds of ways to get shells, escalate privileges, all kinds of stuff. So you can see here, sudo. So we have sudo access to run PHP. That's what it's saying here. If the binary is allowed to run as super user by sudo, so what we're going to do is we're going to copy this little one-liner, and we go into a shell, and then we paste it, and you can see all it's saying is sudo php r system and then run as bin bash. We hit enter. Now we say ls, who am I? Root. So now we're root. So now we say cd root ls root cat the root.txt file. Well, if you can cat root.txt, and there's your flag. It's that simple. It's very simple once you kind of know what you're looking for. That's why I say yes, the way that you would have done this if you actually followed what they said was you would have gotten a file, you would have done an upload. That's fine. We did that the first time, but then you would have had to go and get your linps or your Linux enumeration script, run it, wait. But if you just do sudo tech l, it tells you, hey, you can run PHP. Just do a quick Google search of PHP exploit with sudo, you'd get GTFO bins, and then you'd run that in, and it's super, super simple. So hopefully this made sense to you guys. Hopefully you guys like this. And again, I apologize for all the cuts, but I have, with these long videos, I've got to kind of chop them up and then put them back together because I have to do them in different time frames. So hopefully you guys appreciate that, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. And here we go. We'll finish this box, and that should be it. Look at that. We're done with getting started. So now we can move on to the next box. And so we got 10 cubes back, which isn't a drop in the bucket for these guys. But thank you guys. Hope you guys have a great day, and see you later.